I, night, raven, dull, coffin. I, night, raven, dull, coffin.
Hello, spooky friends. Welcome to the second episode of me ranking old television horror. If you'd like to see 1970, there's a link in the corner and in the description. Things pick up considerably in 1971. Horror has proved profitable, which means folks are getting into it not because they have a passion or a great idea, but because they want to make bank. This means a few of our entries are low budget and some are low everything else. They do usually cram at least one B-list celebrity in there to draw viewers, often Stephanie Powers.
Now read all of...
Dr. Cook's Garden is another case of aging movie stars deigning to do television. Big screen's loss is little screen's gain, I say. Bing Crosby plays the titular Dr. Cook, a small-town doctor whose nastier patients seem to have trouble staying alive. At first, I didn't think much of the film. Good, yes, but not great, but it stuck with me. It's clear from the outset what's going on, so there are no real surprises, though the garden path to the revelation is clever. Frank Converse plays the idealistic new doctor who must turn on his mentor. Blythe Danner is the nurse/romantic interest. What stuck with me was Crosby's villain speech.
I only know one thing. This is the healthiest, happiest town in the whole state. Maybe in the whole country. Maybe in the entire world.
He's impassioned and convincing, and those are the best villains. I think I would make a very bad small-town doctor.
Have you ever killed anyone? Yeah, but they were all bad.
It still isn't a super-duper movie, but I will put it in B tier. Give it a watch if you have an hour to spare. I am chagrined. At first, I couldn't find Terror in the Sky, so I was just going to tell you it was probably terrible and move on. Then I found it on Russian YouTube. I cannot include a direct link or Mother will be angry, but there is an obscured one below. Anyway, chagrined. Because I actually like this movie. Terror in the Sky is based on Arthur Haley's Flight into Danger, a 1956 television play starring James Doohan, which I really wish I could see, but you can only buy it for research purposes from Canadian Broadcasting at a premium. The plot of a plane that must be landed by a passenger may sound familiar, since 1959's Zero Hour and the 1980 parody Airplane are based on the same property. In this case, it's Doug McClure as the troubled veteran who must be talked down, Lois Nettleton as the stewardess on the radio, and the cello-voiced Leif Erikson growling instructions from the ground. Roddy McDowall is also on board as the plucky doctor. I found the film fully engaging and unexpectedly entertaining. There was some great tension, and sue me, but I'm putting it in the A tier. You can, again, only watch The Deadly Dream on Russian YouTube. I tried to upload it, but it's blocked, probably because it's part of Imprint's TV Movie of the Week Blu-ray releases, which are too bloody spendy. I hate everyone in this movie. We're supposed to like Dr. Jim Hanley, played by Lloyd Bridges, who has made a magical elixir to prevent mental defectives, as he puts it. Eugenics for fun and profit. So yeah, he can go kick rocks. In his dreams, he's pursued by a mysterious tribunal who wants to stop his research because he would destroy the natural order of things. Because, as they say, some are born to rule and others to serve. So yeah, I hate them too. I especially hate the stunt driver who's absolutely shredding that pretty Lincoln. I understand they wanted to make the scenes exciting, but it would be creepier if the car was slowly stalking, looking for its victim, not screeching through obstacles like a barrel racer. Janet Leigh plays Jim's wife, Laurel, who tries to support her husband while also not believing him, despite some good evidence that the dreams may in fact be real. It's an interesting premise, and not too badly done, but it's a bit shrill and over the top in places, and I have a bone to pick. At the end, we're in the same industrial area featured in some of the dreams. There's a sign clearly shown that says, "Danger! Acid!" We have expectations after this. Alas, no one gets dissolved. Definitely C tier. I didn't watch much of Five Desperate Women despite a stacked cast, including Joan Hackett, Bradford Dillman, and the inevitable Stephanie Powers. 5 women are stranded on a small vacation island with an escaped murderator. A few minutes in, okay, that character is racist. 10 minutes in, hoo boy, the screenwriter is extra racist. A few more minutes, and there goes the dog, and I'm done. I'm going to assume it went on as it began, and give it an F. Not even Robert Conrad could save this one. Oh look, it's Stephanie Powers again. I rewatched it for this, but I'd actually seen Sweet Sweet Rachel recently. It was a pilot for a show called The Sixth Sense, which we'll be talking about in the future. Rachel's husband launched himself through a window when he saw a vision of his wife needing his help. He'd been experimenting with ESP. Could that have something to do with it? Can you kill with a projection of the mind? A lot of people love this film. It was successful enough to spawn a series. For me, it was very loud and screamy and melodramatic, and it isn't hard to figure out what's going on. The art direction is outstanding, and the idea is great, and I really want those cards used in the first scene, so it gets a B. You'd be forgiven for thinking you were going to see some werewolf action, and I'm not spoiling anything when I tell you no, it's just a very sad dog. There is some crossover between horror and mystery. I think what makes the difference is atmosphere. A Howling in the Woods has atmosphere aplenty. There's the eerie feeling of being in a small town where everyone seems to hate you. There's a constant claustrophobic pressure of danger. Here we get to see Barbara Eden and Larry Hagman fresh off I Dream of Jeannie. Eden plays Liza Crocker, who's returning home after years away, wanting some time away from the husband she's planning on divorcing. She wants to see her father, but finds only her stepmother, played by Vera Miles, and her stepbrother, Justin, played by John Rubinstein. The town is full of secrets. A little girl was murdered not long ago, and anyone who talks about it gets beaten up by a relative. There's a dog howling in the woods, hungry and abandoned, and hated by the town. What on earth is going on? And just when you think you have it figured out, you find out you don't. Not quite. This is an enjoyable little film, and I'm going to give it a solid B. There was another movie called Revenge, released in the same year, so don't get them confused. This is Revenge! Exclamation point! Shelley Winters playing a nutter is its own genre. I should do a video about that. In the first 10 minutes, I was pretty sure I was going to hate this film. I did not. In Revenge, Winters plays Amanda Hilton, who carefully plans the abduction of Frank Clanner, played by Bradford Dillman, who is as ubiquitous as Stephanie Powers. She believes he did her daughter dirty, with tragic results. Clanner's wife, Diane, played by Carol Eve Rawson, can't convince the police to help. Now, anyone who follows true crime will find that familiar. Adults are allowed to disappear. Are you sure he didn't just leave you? They advise a private detective. Her bestie recommends a psychic she just met, and we all know she's going to the psychic. Meanwhile, Winters is being a fairly low-key nutter in this one. Rather than chewing scenery, she calmly lectures the caged Frank about foul language and recommends he pray. The writing is excellent. The characters behave rationally, except for the bonkers one. The atmosphere is great, in large part thanks to the excellent music by Dominic Frontieri. I'm giving this a solid B+ and putting it in the B tier. Humans have long been afraid of new technology. I imagine ancient man told stories of how deadly the wheel was. To be fair, it actually is. When computers came on the scene, the idea that a machine could think opened vast possibilities for horror that have only grown. I don't know that Paperman is the first of the genre, but the idea that 5 college kids could do something questionable with a computer and then begin to die certainly kept running from here. I love the depiction of 70s computing. Sure, there's some fantasy here, but note to young people, probably not as much as you're thinking. If you're into antique tech, this movie will be a blast. But it isn't just about the computer. Dean Stockwell plays Avery, a shy computer nerd. 4 college acquaintances rope him into creating a full identity for a credit card they received by accident. Joel, played by Elliot Street, even makes a paper effigy for their fake person. One by one, the students begin to die, all by something controlled in the computer. It begins to look as if Henry Norman, their fake person, has come to life. Karen, played by, say it with me, Stephanie Powers, is the only graduate of the 5, a newly minted psychologist who comes to Avery's aid. It's a lot of fun, and the beginning of a genre that spawned tons of beloved movies. Paper Man is going in the A tier. When Duel popped up on my 1971 list, I admit I was surprised. I didn't think it was that old, especially since I clearly remember watching it when it first came out. Duel was Steven Spielberg's first feature-length film. Before this, he'd been directing episodes of Columbo. And he showed those episodes to the network execs to convince them he had what it took to make this film. The film would begin a theme that Spielberg would repeat throughout his career. Bad things don't necessarily happen to bad people. They just happen to anyone. Duel is particularly harrowing because most of us have experienced some incidents of road rage. It's the story of David Mann, played by Dennis Weaver, who is traveling the desert highways of California on the way to a meeting. Along the way, he passes a grungy-looking tanker truck. That truck takes offense. I say that truck rather than the driver because we never see more than an arm or a boot of him. The truck is the antagonist here. It's a fantastic film, and at the time there was nothing like it. Based on a Richard Matheson story, as so many good things are, it was born of his own experience of a road rage incident. If you'd like a few more fascinating tidbits, here's a video I found interesting, especially right after watching the film. I'll also link it below. If you've never seen Duel, now is the time. It can be rented on Amazon Prime or YouTube for a few dollars. Make some popcorn, this one is damn fun, and absolutely S tier. I talk a bit about Taste of Evil in my video on John Llewellyn Moxie, so I'll be brief. It's a Scare the Heiress movie, and that bit is pretty well done. Barbara Stanwyck is magnificent as always. The problem is that bad things happen to a child at the outset, and not enough bad things happen to the person who did it. The whole thing gave me the ick, so I'm afraid it's in D tier for me. This movie could have been an email. The Reverend John Keyes, Roy Thinnes, and his wife Lorna, Lynn Loring, are stranded and dying in the desert. 3 kind strangers save them and take them to their home in Melas. The Reverend is soon endeared to the town, while Lorna is bedridden and seems to keep getting worse after their ordeal. Shades of witchcraft soon become apparent. Now, I love a good Western horror, and Black Noon has all the right ingredients. An isolated town, slightly off-kilter townsfolk, and a sense of entrapment. It gives a folk horror vibe, and despite everyone being friendly, we know something isn't right. Ray Milland and Yvette Mimieux are quietly sinister, and we have a good hunch of what Yvette is doing with her little dolls. It's a story of corruption and witchcraft, with an ending echoed by a few famous folk horror films. If Black Noon had been chopped by about 30 minutes, I think it would have been a fun movie. But the pacing had me playing with my phone throughout, and actively irritated at some of the obvious padding. It's a real shame and a waste of a lot of work. I understand they had to fill a time slot, but there just wasn't enough material. If you have patience and love folk horror, you might want to watch this one, but that pacing puts Black Noon in the D tier. The Devil and Miss Sarah aired as a movie of the week on December 4th, 1971. If you think you know Gene Barry, or even if you don't, his performance here is unmissable. Barry plays the thoroughly evil Rankin, an outlaw leader of a small gang. Farmer couple Sarah, Janice Rule, and Gil, James Drury, are traveling the Utah desert searching for a new homestead. Along the way, Sarah gets a premonition that someone's coming. It's a doomed sheriff and his prisoner Rankin. The sheriff dies of an earlier gunshot, leaving Gil to take Rankin to Las Cruces to face justice. Sarah has the sight, which makes her vulnerable to Rankin's evil. Now, if this were made today, his eyes would glow red while he worms his way into Sarah's mind. But in this film, we're left to wonder if he's really the devil or just a very convincing man controlling a susceptible woman. He manipulates Gil as well, only addressing him as farmer and mocking his ability to take care of his wife. No matter how often Gil is told to just let Rankin go, he is determined to carry on. He later says he doesn't think he's trying to prove anything, but we know better. The tension, helped along with a great score by David Rose, is ratcheted high all the way through. The mood is oppressive, nearly hopeless, as Rankin's gang stalks them through the desert, which is a nemesis all its own. I'm fidgety, and I always take breaks during movies, but in this case, I really needed them to get away for a moment. There is no complicated plot. This movie is all about atmosphere and tension, and it definitely goes in the S tier. 1971 ran hot and cold, but contained some of the best movies I've ever seen. I hope you'll take a chance on them. Thank you, spooky friends. I love you to death. Good night.